Okay. It
Jason, I
looks
haven't
like,
seen you come into the Instagram yet.
oh, I'm here. I've requested it.
I know I hit your request. It says you're unavailable to join Jason on Instagram.
Hmm.
I'm gonna try it again.
You guys are seeing how the sausage is made in the background.
They
Oh,
are.
go live. Here we go. I'm connecting.
There you are.
All right. Hello. Let me turn down that. Awesome. All
All
right.
right.
I'm good to go. How are you guys?
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me adjust this camera here. Perfect. So, welcome, everybody. We are multicasting on a ton of different channels right now. So, you're either watching us on Instagram or Haps or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook. Welcome, welcome. Where are the mimosas, Jason?
Oh no, just iced coffee right now.
It's
Just
iced
iced coffee.
coffee. We still have to be a little professional during the workday.
But cheers. No mimosas yet.
Yes, just cheers to the iced coffee. All right, guys. So this broadcast is going to be a little different. I'm really excited about it. Jason and I have put so much work into it. So this is going to be very much like watching, Good Morning America, except it's going to be a travel edition. So we're going to talk about today's agenda with the layout. I'm going to pull this up while we chat here. So, we have some hot travel topics that we're going to talk about, which are new, lively travel items that have, come across the newsroom in the last few days that we're going to relay to you and also debate. There's also going to be a list of countries that U.S. citizens can currently travel to, and if there are COVID-19 requirements, testing, etc., because that will change week to week, we will go over that. We're going to have a travel hack of the day. We're going to have a question of the day, and then we're going to open this up for Q&A and topics for next week. So I'm going to take a quick second, reset the room so we can get started. And also,
Awesome.
share this with your followers, guys. We really appreciate it. So, my name is Haley. I am the travel writer for HaleyWithAFlair.com. I've also been working in the hotel industry for 14 years and own my own hotel consulting business with a small little team. And joining me today, I have Mr. Jason Poole, who was first my travel agent when I was skeptical and then became my best friend through it. So, Jason, tell us a little
Skeptical.
bit about yourself.
All right, guys. Hi, I am Jason Poole. As Haley just said, I am a travel agent, travel advisor, some people call them. I work with Cruise Planners, which is an American Express travel representative. And I am very fortunate to be a multi-million dollar selling travel agent. So I consider myself an expert on a wide variety of travel. I tend to specialize in cruising, all-inclusive resorts, Europe land travel, Alaska, Pacific cruises, but I can do a little bit of everything. And I am looking forward to sharing some of my knowledge with you guys, but more importantly, like learning with you, right? But this is going to be a community where you guys are going to teach me a lot of things. And I hope we have a great time talking about travel, which I know we're all ready to get back out there.
Absolutely. So, Jason, we've got some topics to kick off with. Why don't you start it? And you guys,
Yes.
if we miss your questions in the meantime, we will try to get them later, but we're really trying to get the information out there first. So, keep that in mind. We're not ignoring you. I completely promise. We just have a lot of really great information we want to share with you today. All right.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
let's pull up number one.
So there was some big breaking news yesterday. Royal Caribbean has decided to redeploy its brand new Quantum Plus class ship. So the Odyssey of the Seas redeployed to Israel for its inaugural season. Now, there are some caveats here, because when I first heard the news, I was like, Haley, let's go to Jerusalem.
I had my bags packed.
Right. But it is going to be just for Israeli citizens only. And it's going to be only for vaccinated adults, so 16 and above. And you're going to have to prove that you are vaccinated. They're going to do 3 to 7 night cruises out to Greece and Cyprus. So I know a lot of Americans, Canadians were, lots of echo people are saying, I don't know if you're going to turn something down. People are saying we're echoing. So lots of excitement around this for obviously the people who live in Israel. But I know people were upset here, but I think we need to look at it as it's a sign that vaccines are going to be the cure to getting us back out to sailing again. So zero echo on Instagram. Fantastic. Okay. So Haley, what do you think when you heard the news? What were your thoughts?
Yes, I did a little adjusting on my end because I wasn't sure if the echo was going into my speaker here on Haps because I was listening to you there. So I made the flip. I shrunk the volume on Instagram. So we'll give this a try, guys. Let us know.
This is episode 1, guys. Hang with us. Episode 1. All right. So Odyssey of the Seas inaugural season is now going to be starting in Israel for Israeli adults only who've been vaccinated.
Yes. So let's see here. Claire said now it's echoing. You know what? I'm going to try to minimize this as best as possible by throwing the mic over here, guys. No, we can't win. One of them's going to echo a little bit, I think, with this mic.
Okay.
So
okay, good. People are saying much better. Okay. Well, we're going to forge ahead. If you're having echo in one, check out Facebook or check out Instagram. We're all over the place. So, Haley, continue.
Guys, we'll make sure we adjust this going forward. So typically Haps is supposed to allow us to broadcast on Instagram. So we're kind of having to do a phone and then the computer separately. So it's work in progress. And we appreciate you guys working through this with us. Jason, you have me muted on one, right?
You're in my ear. And then you're muted on my phone. So okay. I don't think the echo's from me.
Okay. Anyways, forge ahead. So I'm very jealous first that Odyssey is starting up there. You know, I think I was really blown away by this because it's not a place I would have anticipated. Like, you know, if they had told me that they were going to send it to like maybe, and I know this is really far, but like Australia or something like that, like, you know, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense because, you know, they have those sailings that pretty much go around Australia, and that's a pretty decent sized market. For some reason, you know, Israel really took me by surprise initially. Yes. However, they have been rocking that vaccine rollout, so it makes sense. And I think there's some really unique opportunities to try some things. It's almost like a good control, I think, for Royal to try something because of how well they did the vaccine rollout. And, you know, the options to maybe explore different itineraries and maybe seeing if that is a market that works for them in the future. I mean, from a business standpoint, that's how I look at it. What do you think?
Look, I think it's great that they're trying. I mean, Israel has been one of the best countries in the world as far as rolling out the vaccine, right? They're doing about 3% of their population a day. So I think Royal Caribbean decided, you know, let's give this a go. And I am super optimistic. And I think it shows that, you know, the vaccines are the cure to getting us back to travel, right? Yes, we can socially distance to certain places. Yes, we can wear masks, but the true end of this pandemic is going to be all about the vaccines, right? So when it is your turn to get vaccinated, go get vaccinated. So that is the key in all of this.
Perfect. I made a quick mic switch, so we'll see if that helps the echoing. I switched back to the computer versus my external. Awesome. No, I think that's a great point, and it's a great test subject. I mean, I'm excited to see how these go. I really hope that if there's anybody from Israel in here watching, please try to live broadcast. I want to live vicariously through you and see how it goes. I mean, these ships are beautiful. I think it's going to be just wonderful. New ship, new location, new destination. Let's see how it goes. Do you want to move on to our second topic, Jason?
Yeah. So, so that was kind of some good news for the Israelis. There's a little bit of some bad news here for those who enjoy cruising to Alaska. As we know, months ago, the Canadian government decided to ban all cruises all cruises from visiting Canadian ports through early 2022. So, as you know, that is going to impact the Alaskan season because by U.S. law, all cruise ships that are cruising out of America with a foreign flag which is most of them, except for the Pride of America, most every ship has a foreign flag. By law, they have to visit a foreign port. That's why almost every Alaskan cruise goes to Victoria or Vancouver to comply with the law. Well, when the Canadian government said no cruises can visit a Canadian port for the rest of 2021, that puts serious questions into, can the Alaskan season happen at all? So there are a group of congressmen on the U.S. House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee have sent a letter to the Canadian ambassador to the United States and have asked asked Canada if we can do technical stops. So we're waiting for their response, but right now, unless the law is changed or Canada allows us to make some technical stops, Alaska might be up in the air for this year. And I've been on a cruise with a technical stop before. I'm seeing Emma saying things are echoing. Haley, I think there's only a couple people on Instagram Live. I'm going to just kill Instagram Live, but it seems to be going better everywhere. So guys, if you're watching Instagram Live, hop over on Facebook perhaps. I'm going to kill the Instagram Live.
Yeah, we're going to flip this over. So if you guys can flip over. So typically HAPS allows us to multicast to YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So if you guys want to hop over there, and Emma, I definitely want to talk to you after this because I think Emma would be a great host to have in the future because one of the things we'd like to do. One of the things that we are going to do is bring people in here from week to week to talk with us that are, experts, bloggers, and industry professionals. So I'm going to make sure you connect with me after because you're one of the people on my short list, and I'm glad you popped in here. So we're going to turn off the Instagram Live, guys. Head over to HAPS or my YouTube. I'm Haley with the Flair everywhere. Jason's on here too.
Yep.
But, YouTube, HAPS, Twitter,
wherever else.
Everywhere
So the American government is looking at doing a possible technical stops, and I've done a technical stop before. So I was on a travel agent preview sailing on the Celebrity Edge, and by law we had to stop somewhere. So we took a quick stop to Nassau. We just dropped the anchor for a couple hours. No one got off the ship, and we kept going. So I'm hoping the Canadian government will allow us to do a technical stop, which will allow at least the last half of the Alaskan season to happen. Would you be okay with skipping Victoria or Vancouver and continuing in Alaska sailing?
So I have many thoughts on this. First off, it's sad because Vancouver's beautiful. Canada's a very beautiful, beautiful country, and it goes right with that Alaska last frontier aesthetic. My thoughts on this are: A, wouldn't it just be easier to deal with the Jones Act as a country itself? And then secondly, if that was the scenario, I think I'd be fine with it just to be able to sail. Because at the end of the day, it's called an Alaskan sailing, and I don't think people would be that hard pressed to just have to sit in a port for a couple hours. They're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Vancouver's gorgeous.
Stunning.
It really is. It's like a painting. If you've ever been in that port, it's like a painting. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So for our non-American viewers, they might be thinking, well, why doesn't Congress just change the law? Well, if you're not an American, things just don't happen quickly in American Congress. So I wish the law could change to allow us to circumvent visiting a foreign port temporarily, but I don't think that's going to happen given, look, the Congress has much more important things right now, right? They have much more important things. So yeah, I hope Canada lets us just, the cruise ship just dock And, come July, August, we can have some sailings go to Canada. I'm sorry, up to Alaska and just dock in Canada. So fingers crossed for Alaska season still happening, but we will wait and report as we get more information. So that's the topics that I wanted to discuss for the day.
So, Jason, I want to know your thought on this before we hop off of it. And I bet you some of our followers here can understand that. Like, why is, and I know you're a big political guy too, like to listen to your podcast. What is the point of the Jones Act?
So there are people much more knowledgeable on this, but from my understanding, it was to protect the shipping industry from forever ago. It was to prevent the shipping industry to interfering with the ferry industry. So that's my understanding. I don't want to go into more details, but I think from reading on it, that's what it was. They were just trying to protect the interest of shipping and ferry industries.
Okay. Now I was curious because it's just, to be frank, it sounds really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, the law is very old. So it's like a lot of the laws in the book. They're very old, but we just cross our fingers and maybe the Canadians will let us just do a technical stop.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to pull that agenda list right back up just to remind anybody that's popping in now what our agenda is today. So if we miss your questions right now, we're getting through the meat and potatoes of the topics here. And then we have a big Q&A section at the end. I respond a little bit in chat when I get a second. But we just talked about the hot travel topics this week. If you're just catching it, make sure you catch the replay. We talked about Odyssey heading to Israel. We talked about, the Jones Act with Canada and how the U.S. is trying to ask Canada if they can port there for a little bit. So make sure you watch those replays. Next up, which I know is a question you get a lot, Jason, where can U.S. citizens travel right now?
Where can we go right now? I get that question all the time.
So I'm going to pull up this nice little slide that we have. You guys take a screenshot. And actually, if you don't want to take a screenshot, it's going to be posted in our Facebook group, Today in Travel. If you guys are on Facebook, check that out. I will be posting this later. So this list is ever changing. Like, it's constantly changing. So there's a couple unique situations on here. We have our list of current no COVID tests. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but no COVID test: Albania, Costa Rica, the Dominican, Mexico, and North Macedonia. And then we have our 48 hours, 72 hours, and 96 hours prior. The unique situations I'm going to highlight is Nicaragua doesn't necessarily have a time frame for your test, but they want you to take a test. Like, there's no 72 hours, just take a test before you come. Malta is a unique situation. And I bet you, Emma, if you know a little bit more on this, feel free to leave it in the comments. Malta requires a 14-day quarantine, but once you quarantine there, you can gateway to other areas of Europe, which is kind of unique. Then we have Sri Lanka. They have a 14-day required quarantine. Tanzania only requires COVID testing if your airline requires it. The UK, Emma, this is another one for you. The UK requires a 72-hour test and still a 10-day quarantine. And Zambia is a 14-day prior test as well as a 14-day quarantine. And I realized I left it off this list accidentally, but Ireland requires a 3-day prior quarantine test and then a 10-day quarantine, but you can test out on day 5.
And remember, no matter where you travel, if you're an American, you have to take a test before you come back into the country. So almost all of the all-inclusive resorts and hotels, like in the Caribbean, are providing those COVID tests free of charge on property. So if you think you're going to Mexico and back and totally avoiding a COVID test, that's not happening. You still have to have a COVID test to come back into the country. And if the question is, well, what if I test positive? What happens? Almost all the resorts are allowing you to stay on property for up to 14 days until you test negative and can fly home.
And a lot of them
Now,
have said it's free, right, Jason?
yeah, it's free. It's free. Now, you're not going to be hanging out by the pool drinking Mai Tais. You're going to be in your room, which make sure you always book a good room. Pick a good room. Now, but the issue here is without travel insurance, you're paying for any type of change fee on your flights. So, which is why, travel insurance, even you're like, oh, I'm going to be in a land resort. That's why travel insurance is, really important to cover those fees. But yeah, so lots of people are going to the Caribbean now, lots of all-inclusive destinations. And so I think things are going well down there. And
so Tina brings up a good point. So St. Thomas does not have this requirement. You guys got to remember, St. Thomas is a U.S. Virgin Island.
Right. It's not technically part. I mean, it's not part of like the United States of America, meaning like it's different.
So another thing that you guys have to remember too is those territories like Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, they all individually, kind of like Hawaii, have their own requirements.
Correct.
So yes, you may not need a test to come back to the mainland, but some of them have testing requirements going too. So keep that in mind, guys. This list is ever changing. We're going to bring you the latest and greatest on this list, and it will be posted in our travel group. So super excited about that. Let's hop to our next slide, and I'm going to do another quick reminder because I know we've had a couple new people. So today we've already covered the hot topics, the list of countries that U.S. citizens can travel to. If you want to catch those, make sure you watch the replay. And then we're going to be heading into a travel hack, which is going to be very quick today, a question of the day to debate, and then we're going to open up for Q&A. So, all right, today's travel hack, it's low-key lame, but it needs to be said.
I like it. I thought it was my idea. I liked it.
But I tell you when you're low-key lame sometimes, though, and you tell me when I'm being lame.
That's true. Well, I'll let you tell the lame travel hack of the day then.
Okay, so our travel hack is if you have continued travel questions, you need to join our online community. You can either search Today in Travel on Facebook, or if you go to your web browser and type in todayintravel.live, it's going to take you there. It's our online community. And you guys, this community is not just Jason and I talking at you the whole time. If you have a great travel tip for Disney, or even if you have an RV and you have some travel tips like that, post them in there. This is a collaborative group. If you have questions, post them in there, because there's so many great minds in this group that do all different kinds of travel. There's a chance that somebody has been where you're looking to go. And then we can take those questions into this broadcast the following week.
Right. So each week we'll bring some questions, like some good questions from the Facebook group to the broadcast to answer. That doesn't mean we're not going to answer them in the Facebook group, but we'll try to pick some good ones. And look, there are some questions that you guys might think that might just you might not know where to even start searching on the internet. Well, just use the Facebook group, right? So, hey, I don't think cruising's for me. I want to do an all-inclusive resort. Where should I even begin my research? Or, hey, I'm going to Paris. Has anybody put together a Paris guide for me to do? Yeah, I mean, right. So the Facebook group has just great. We'll have great content. We're growing it, and invite your friends. It's going to be a ton of fun. So the travel hack of the day, todayintravel.live.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys keep an eye on that group, because Jason and I just looked, and there's some new kind of like chat room features. And we're going to, as the group starts expanding and we get more topics, we're going to have chat rooms for different topics.
Yes.
So it's a very interactive experience. And I do want to give a quick shout out, Jason. Piano Man 50, who lives right near me, Wilson, gave us an award, the Appreciate You Award, that actually goes into our little fund here that we can spoil our guests and stuff with. So
love it.
Thank you so much for the donation, Wilson. I appreciate it.
Love it.
Right. Let's go into our question of the day, Jason.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So the question of the day Vaccine passports, yay or nay? So there's been lots of talks about having a so-called COVID passport, a so-called green passport that allows countries to verify when people are fully vaccinated and if they should be allowed to move more freely and not abide by some of the rules and regulations, such as quarantine testing that we've seen other countries do. So the European Union is proposing legislation as early as like this month to have a green passport to allow people to move more freely between the European Union. Some countries like Greece are totally on board with this. They've already kind of started their own program in hopes to have people coming as early as the summer. Mykonos in the summer, maybe. Now, not all countries in the European Union love this idea. Okay. There's some countries like France that are pushing back. They are worried that a green passport will continue to will further the divide between the elites and the regular people, the have and the have-nots. But the European Union appears like they're going to forge ahead. They look like they have enough support among member nations. So what do you think, Haley? Pro-green vaccines or anti-green or green passports or anti-green passports?
So I believe back in the day, these were called a yellow card originally, like,
Yep.
if you needed different vaccines to if
Right.
you want to go to the African safari.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I want to believe that, how do I want to put this? I want to believe that the vaccines are being rolled out equally. I know that in my state, we have had situations where, hospitals and stuff initially got fined for letting elitists pay their way to the top of that list.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm going to come at this from a more equal playing field. I think it makes sense. It's kind of one of those, like, this isn't, being political or whatnot, but if you want to travel, here's the guidelines. I mean, if you want to go to some, African countries, there's vaccine requirements that you have to have. Like, this isn't a new concept.
Right.
And, if you want to play, you got to play by the rules.
So I kind of take a slightly more middle of the ground position here. I'm aware that people who are still vaccinated might still carry the COVID virus and can still spread it, right? So I don't think it's okay for people who are vaccinated to start traveling in March 2021 all over the place. Okay. So I think it's a little early for a green passport to roll out. Now, if it's June, July, the vaccine's in surplus, everybody who wants it can easily get it. I'm okay at that point, right? Because if you want to get it, you've been able to get it. We shouldn't be held hostage by vaccine deniers. So
absolutely. I think I want to add into that. I still think there should be, even with the passports, I feel like there should be some testing. I mean, because you and I discussed, I think it was a couple months ago, some person hopped on a flight to Hawaii to an island that has limited hospital beds and resources.
Yep.
Knowing they had COVID, they had already tested prior, and they thought, oh, well, I'm positive anyways. I'll just go to Hawaii and quarantine for 14 days.
Yep.
I think rapid testing at airports should potentially still be a thing, even if you have a green passport.
I agree.
There's a lot of, this house is going to drip into another silo here, but, people are very concerned about, their health and safety, and rightly so when it comes to travel. But I want to pose a question to you, Jason, because, I attended this conference where I got to sit on a panel with a couple people like the president of the U.S. Travel Association, the CEO from Delta. And one of the things the industry has done a really poor job of is coming out with studies where they have actually shown what their measures have done. Because, one of the things the Delta CEO said is, if it's so awful to travel and terrible, he's like, why have I not had a huge outbreak amongst my flight attendants? You're telling me no news channel would jump all over an outbreak about that. And the industry, I think in general, we're like, oh, look at these cleaning protocols, but they need to invest some money in some studies and actually show the safety measures that are put in place, because you're not seeing major outbreaks amongst people like, flight attendants that are traveling constantly.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, granted, the air ventilation system on a plane is a little bit more robust than, at a bar.
What people don't know too is, that air filtration system, 50% of that air is outside air. The other 50% goes through like a hospital operating room grade filter every 1 to 2 minutes.
Right. Well, so there is money in the rescue plan that's going through Congress right now. It passed the House. If it passes the Senate, there is money in there for schools to upgrade some of their ventilation systems. I mean, this is getting off the travel sphere, but yes, I agree. So I think I'm still finding rapid testing before you get on a flight. Look, I think everybody should be tested before they get on a flight, just period. Right? I know someone personally that got on a plane before they were done with their quarantine period after they tested positive. Right? And it infuriated me. I mean, I almost called the health department of where they were flying to. I didn't, but I thought, it just infuriated me. So I think you should have to get a test to get on a plane, right? Yeah. Look, I think once cruises resume and vaccines are required to get on a cruise, and they're gonna be required, I'm okay with them still testing everybody before they get on board, right? Because absolutely. So yes. So the answer to my question is, am I in favor of green passports? Yes, just not yet. Yeah, I think we should wait a couple months.
I think that makes sense. And I think each country kind of should have their say, be like, okay, based on our rollout, we've vaccinated 80% of our population.
Yes.
Okay, let's do this. It's tricky because, the reality of this is that it's viral. There's going to be mutations of it. And we're going to be living with this for a while.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
yes.
One of the things that people don't realize, and this is a little off the travel topic, but I think it ties. So my uncle was one of the head directors for Pfizer's animal division.
Okay.
And they would go to China multiple times a year and inoculate chicken eggs, because chickens carry a strain of COVID, of coronavirus.
Oh, okay.
This isn't, something that's entirely uncommon, but, it's something I think that we're going to have to learn to live with. And that requires everybody to do their part. Don't be gross, wash your hands, sanitize. Right. If you're asked to wear a mask in an area, and you want to go there, you got to play by the rules. If if they require you to have a vaccine passport, be considerate and play by the rules.
No, I agree. So yeah, so I think that's a good discussion. We will of course see, keep you guys updated with the situation with the EU and the green passport if it passes.
Yep. So that's going to bring us to our final section here, and it's going to be a fun section. Now, we've had a couple comments that I'm going to read coming through here. So we're going to talk Q&A. We want to know what questions you guys have, topics for next week, and to let you guys know, we're going to be having some contests down the road. So if we ever get any awards in here, like Wilson and Captain Rehab actually just gave us an award, so thank you. We're going to be using those for contests for you guys moving forward. So super excited about that. So one of the comments that was made was combination of testing and vaccines will minimize any potential impacts, and starting the process now is key because it's going to take time to roll out the passports. And then another comment onto that was, remember, anyone who tests positive with the virus can be in their system for up to 90 days and still test positive after quarantine.
Yep.
There's no perfect solution to
No,
this.
right,
There's always going to
right.
be oddities.
Right. And, everybody has to measure their own personal risk, right? And if you do not feel safe eating in a restaurant or visiting grandma or flying to Hawaii or flying to Greece, then look, I mean, we're not going to shame you for that. If you need to stay home for personal reasons, I'm totally okay with that, right? I did see a good comment here from Emma. She says she's worried about people who can't be vaccinated for medical reasons, and I think that's a great point she brought up, and which is why when it's your turn to get vaccinated, you need to get vaccinated because we need enough people vaccinated to help protect those that cannot get it for whatever health reasons there may be. Now, I will say, as far as the green passport legislation that's being considered in the EU, they are allowing people to still get a green passport if they cannot get vaccinated, and they have to put on there why they cannot get vaccinated. So that is part of the legislation as well. So
Absolutely. It's a touchy subject, but I mean, there's never going to be a perfect solution to anything. There's always going to be a caveat. There's always going to be new strains of this coming on board. But one of the things that I think is great that this is brought to attention is how people need to be more cognizant of sanitation. I mean, I will never forget. I sat on a plane once. I'm pretty sure I texted you coming back from a hotel. And this woman, she was foreign, was sitting next to me in business class and puts her bare feet on the tray in front of her and puts her phone between her knees to start watching a movie. And I was just like, finally by me like giving her this glare after a while, she stopped. But I mean, if you see somebody being gross, I think it is fair within reason, don't be a complete jerk because, sometimes they may be tired not thinking. Say something, call them out on it. Like Tina says right here, it comes down to think of everyone around you when it comes to staying safe, following protocols, wearing your mask, sanitizer, washing your hands, and whatnot. We do have a question though, Jason. Where are you two traveling to next? So me personally, I'm doing a combo work leisure trip. I'm heading to Vegas at the end of this month, having a little fun in Vegas, and then I'm shooting photos for a hotel near Zion National Park in Utah. So I'll be there for a couple nights, then coming back to Vegas, and then I'm currently working on a team trip with my company in April that Jason is helping us plan. We're possibly looking at Mexico at an all-inclusive, so we have the testing and stuff available to us. I will actually have my second round of my vaccine next week. Jason, what's on your calendar?
I am waiting for some of my friends to get vaccinated and kind of looking at something in late spring if we are vaccinated. The next thing on my actual firm calendar is not till the summer, but I'm hoping for something in the spring, so stay tuned.
And a little teaser, Jason and we're currently waiting for cruising to come back more online, but we will be doing a group trip of some form, hopefully maybe by the end of this year, if not early next year. So make sure you guys watch out for that. Would love to have you join or, sail with us, whatever we end up doing. And if you guys have an idea of what you'd like to do as a group trip, leave it in that group that we talked about too.
All right, guys. Well, this was fantastic. It was a great first episode. Sorry for the technical difficulty at the beginning. We are still working out everything, but stay with us. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday. Post questions in todayintravel.live. We'll answer them, and we might even feature your question or topic on our show.
Absolutely. And if you are an industry professional, a travel blogger, get with us. We'd like to start having guests going forward too on a few episodes. And down below, make sure you guys check out this little infographic here. You can give us a follow on all social. Like Jason said, we'll be live Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 Central, here every Tuesday. And just so you know, you guys also, I put this in the group last night, if you guys are going to be traveling and going live on HAPS, I put the link to HAPS, use the hashtag today in travel, and we can cross over and put your featured post into that Facebook group so people can see as well. And there's a list where you can add your HAPS name.
Awesome. Well, Haley, it was great chatting with you this morning.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.